Okay, for this video I'm going to talk about the web pages I used and to answer the question, evaluation question 4. One of the main web pages I used was the Wake homepage because it was the only way I could get onto my emails, and I use my emails quite a lot because I spent a lot of time sending pictures from my iPad, which are screenshots, to my email so that I could then open the picture onto my PC. So I'll just open up my email for you. Let's have a look. So just ignore that for a second. Here are all my emails, as you can see, and I don't have any in my inbox right now, but I would send myself the screenshots that I had taken on my iPad to my email so that I could then save these onto my PC and put them onto my blog. It was just an easy way. So this is quite useful in transferring all my screenshots from my phone so that I could then use them onto my PC and such. I did take a lot of screenshots, especially of the conversations I would have, and then open them up on here and then open them onto Photoshop and edit them all together, so it'd save me having all these pictures on one blog post. So this is the Wake email webpage right here, which is another website I used because it's a link from the main website. This main website wasn't really useful. It was just great for navigating onto my Wake email and going onto the Moodle to have a look at work that the teacher would ask to be submitted, or see checklists on what I needed to include for my blog. Which is here. It shows you all my courses, and this is the media studies, which tells you a lovely reminder of when the evaluation question needs to be in. One of the main websites that I used was Blogger, which you can view all your blog posts and have them all laid out neatly like so. It's also really easy to use. For example, when you make a post, you can add photos, videos, you can embed other programs onto your blog post. This is just my blog at the moment. It's really easy to use because you can just add posts, which you can see here, and it's really easy to organise and lay out. So this is what I've used to display my work, basically. And you can do all sorts. You can customise how you want it to look with the layout. I went for a colourful look because I thought that it looked the best, and also I'm quite a colourful person really. As you can see here, this is my AS blog as well, which I used during my AS coursework. It's just really easy to use, and we've used it for about 2 years now, and I would recommend using it because it's very effective at displaying the work and organising yourself and making sure you add everything. Another website I use to display my work, which I've got up here, all the websites I've used to make it easier, is Prezi. Prezi is really good to use, especially during all my stages. I used it to answer one of my questions, question 1. So that allows you to import pictures and videos and YouTube clips onto your Prezi. It's just a nice way to lay out things, and it doesn't take up much space on your blog. You can also embed it and download it, so it's really easy to put onto your blog. I used that last year as well because, again, I liked it using it the first time round. I thought to use it again. I also used it for my research stage, as you can see. That was when I did the history of Medium. This is the post that I used, and I created a timeline, so you can basically create anything to show your work. I created a timeline here, as you can see, on my video clips. It's just a neat little way to have all the information on your notes onto something that you can visualize. Excuse me. Again, I used it for my lyric analysis and my lyre analysis. It's just something easy to use. Anybody can use it, it's free. And it's a good way to put all your information down. Another way of presenting my information was SlideShare, and that helps with PowerPoint. So if I create a PowerPoint, I can then upload it onto SlideShare, and it creates like a little notepad of all your slides. I used it a couple of times, quite a lot actually, this year. I used it for my research, mood board, your influences, conventions, when I was creating my task list, showing all my screenshots of how I made my products, and also for the evaluation stage. So it's really good to use. Plus, it doesn't take long for things to upload, depending on your connection, which is helpful. I also recently, a few months ago, when I was finding other ways of presenting my work, I came across Kizoa, if that's pronounced correctly, and that's a bit like SlideShare, but it creates more of a movie maker style project rather than flicking through pages. That was easy to use. You could just import multiple pictures all at once and then save them. If I go on and show you, I did have a couple of problems with this, however, because at college, when I was uploading some of my pictures, it wouldn't always go right. So I'll just show you, can add all pictures at once, drag them onto the timeline, add animations, add effects, transitions, basically what Movie Maker does, but it's online, so you don't have to download it. You do have issues sometimes uploading files, which isn't too bad unless when you overcome it, obviously. It makes it look neat onto your blog. It doesn't take up a lot of space. If I can find one quickly, I believe I used it for my colour. Find it on my blog. January. Here you go, look. As you can see, it just rolls, keeps going. It has lots of different transitions you can use, and it's just another neat way of showing all your information at once rather than having all these pages of work. I mean, that's quite a small post, which is quite nice. You can't, however, have it going continuously. You have to pay for that, unfortunately, but there's only so much you can do. And that's Kizoa. Okay, and I used Facebook webpage because it was a good way to communicate with my actors while I was on my computer. I could also access this on my phone, so I can create group messages and talk to all my actors, which you can see here. Obviously, it's not all relevant. You can also add photos, so I could then talk to my actors about what they wanted to wear and look at photos on my phone or look at photos on here at what best to show what I wanted them to wear. I also used Twitter, which was a way of sending my survey out to people. Yep, and that's me. So it's a good way of connecting all your different websites that you used together. Really works well. I obviously used Google to Google search my images. So when I was looking for my camera, I'd just type in the name of my camera and I could then bring up a picture and post it on my blog. Obviously I could just take a photo of my camera, but it's another website that I used. Plus it takes 2 seconds just to type in whatever you wanted. Like if I wanted to type in studio lighting, I could look at all the different options for studio lighting. I could search the web, what the names of the lighting were, because there was some lighting equipment that I used that I didn't actually know what I was using. So it's nice to get to know what equipment you're using. So that was Google that I used. That was very obviously efficient to use because it's just mainly a mainframe for finding out information and looking at things that you can use to present your work, etc. This takes me to my next website that I use, which is dafont.com. A lot of people have used this website across my year because it's so efficient. It just stores, it has 27,000 fonts to use, and it gives you an example of what they look like, so you can visualise what you want, what types you want. That's the one that I use for my artist name. It's really useful, especially when you're on Photoshop and there's some fonts that there is only a limited amount of fonts on Photoshop and they're very basic, whereas some of these fonts are very broad, you could say. They're all different. You can look for a range of different types that you're after. Obviously I kept it very, pop, what you would expect for a Bob Dylan music product text to look like. So that was the font, that was useful. It also let me I could compare different fonts to one another, which I did on my blog. When I was coming up with my digipack, I came across this fake music generator website. So basically it just generates a random album with random names instantly. So if you click generate album, it'll come up with random songs. And I did that a couple of times just to see what would happen, and I believe I ended up picking my album name from one that was suggested. So that was quite handy. It was also new, I've never used it before. It's just an easy way of getting to know. I didn't really use this much. I went on to iTunes instead and flicked through pop artist songs to get an idea of what I wanted to include. Another website I used was YouTube to upload all my videos to. I could then link these to my Blogger. Just made things easier, just uploading it onto YouTube because you can access it anywhere. You can also add effects to it, which I tried to stay away from because YouTube can often make your videos look worse, to be honest. It's best to do it on a proper editing software rather than basic settings of YouTube. Another website I used was GoAnimate, which is really fun to use, especially when you have written work of surveys that people have answered and you want to produce something that's more interesting rather than a blank text document. So I used GoAnimate, and you can pick all sorts of different starting points. I used the Ninja one and stick figures, and there's all sorts that you can play with. There's even a White House one. Why wouldn't there be? So this is really easy to use. You just get your timeline, you pick a background, you can have a person standing there, and you can then give them a voice. So if I insert a character, so look at who we've got. She looks interesting. Protester. If I fit her there, I can then give her a voice by typing something. Sounds quite manly. There you go, you can add a voice, make a timeline. The only problem is with this website is you only get 30 seconds, so actually use that time wisely. It's also nice to put on your blog because it doesn't take up much space really. And lastly, it takes me to SurveyMonkey, which is a good way to get feedback back from your product. So as you can see, I've got 3 surveys running so far. A magazine advertisement survey, which gave me feedback on my magazine advertisement. So you can design your survey, collect responses, and look at the results you get from them. SurveyMonkey is quite good at organising. As you can see here, this is all the responses to my questions, which are on my blog for you to see. You can also look at individual responses. This was quite good because I could send this out to everybody in college, and then I used this to answer my evaluation question. Question number 3. I also used it for information gathering on music genres and what people like, and whether you stream music or whatever. So that was useful. Fortunately, you can only do so much before you have to pay. And that's the websites I used.